Hello and welcome to another coding challenge. In this coding challenge, I'm going to demonstrate a lot of different techniques. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a Mad Libs generator from scratch in the browser using JavaScript and reading data from a Google Sheet. So there's going to be a lot of pieces to this, but hopefully by the end, you'll learn something and be able to take a creative riff on what I'm doing to do something that's more original than me just literally creating the exact Mad Libs. Now you might be wondering what Mad Libs are. It's a word game where you have to come up with nouns and adjectives and adverbs, words of different parts of speech, and those get substituted into a story, and then when you read the story, it's funny. You know, I've been thinking a lot about the history of Mad Libs and the creators of Mad Libs, Leonard Stern and Roger Price, and you know, they must be laughing all the way to the shoe. Where's my drum roll? Boom, chung. I have to credit @Josh Gorin for that joke. I don't know if he came up with it, but he told me that joke. Okay, but bad joke aside, let's see what happens if we can try to create a Mad Libs generator in the browser. So the first thing I want to do, first of all, is come up with the actual structure of the Mad Libs itself. So I have here a text file, and this is what it's going to be. Blank! Exclamation point, they said blankily as they jumped into their blank and flew off with their blankety blanks. So I need an exclamation, an adverb, a noun, an adjective, and a plural noun. So I could say, zoinks, they said joyfully as they jumped into their unicorn and flew off with their colorful rainbows, right? So this is the idea of a Mad Lib. So the first thing I want to do is figure out where am I going to pull the words from. You know, with a project like this, I probably shouldn't go straight to making the data source, and I should just actually do the Mad Lib generation in a JavaScript program and then connect the data source, but I'm going to not take my own advice and go backwards. So yeah, there's a lot of thumbs down, a lot of dad joke. Sorry, that was terrible. Maybe we'll edit the joke out. Anyway, coming back, start this video over. So one thing I want to do is first I want to make a Google Sheet. So I'm going to make, oh no, I don't want to make a Google Sheet. Actually, I'm going to do this with a Google form. So I'm going to make a new Google form, Google form, and this is my, no thanks, this is my Mad Libs form. And I need to create a bunch of questions. So I just want a text question. Where do I find short answer? So I want an adverb, and then, and it's going to be required. And then I want a duplicate. I want, what did I say I wanted? An adverb, oh no, exclamation. Exclamation. Then I want an adverb. Duplicate. Then I want a noun, adjective, plural, noun. Noun, duplicate. Adjective, duplicate, plural, noun. And then I can trash this one and save. This is Mad Libs form. And what I want to do now is share this, get a shareable link, shorten URL. Those of you who are watching this in the live stream, somebody screenshot that, copy that down, share it in the chat. I'm not going to leave it up too long. And then please, family-friendly language, please, if you wouldn't mind. And I should be able to do responses and connect this to a new spreadsheet. And here now is my spreadsheet. So as people submit responses, I should see those responses appear in this particular spreadsheet. And in the chat, tell me if nobody was able to get it, and I'll sort of pause making this video and edit the pause out. But for right now, I'm going to keep going. Okay, and people in the chat are pointing out, by the way, that I could use one of my other video examples, like the Rita library, which gives you random nouns and random words. I could query something called WordNick. But in this coding challenge, I want to show you how to aggregate data from users and use them in your JavaScript program. And of course, you could write a database program. You could spin up a web server and a Mongo database and all this stuff, or you could connect to some service and save your data. But what I'm suggesting to you, if you want to prototype your idea and get data from users really quickly, a Google form and a spreadsheet is a really quick and easy way to do it. Okay, I'm back. I paused for a bit to let people submit stuff, and you can see now people are submitting into the Google form, and I've got lots of exclamations, lots of adverbs, lots of nouns, lots of adjectives. So what I need to do now is get this data into my program. And there are a variety of ways you could do this. There's something called Sheetsu, SHEETSU.com. There are probably other JavaScript libraries and frameworks for grabbing data from a Google Sheet. But I'm going to use something called tabletop.js. One, it's open source and free, and it's pretty easy to use. So what I'm going to do here is, the first thing I want to do is grab the tabletop.js library. So I'm on this GitHub repository, and all the links that I'm using in this video will be in the description of this video, and I apologize for my scratchy voice. Got a bit of a cold today. So I'm going to click under source. I'm going to go to tabletop.js. Then I'm going to go to raw, and I'm just going to save this JavaScript library into my libraries folder, tabletop.js. So now you'll see in my code here, what I have is I have a text file where I'm keeping track of my Mad Libs. I've got my JavaScript code. I've got an HTML file. I have P5 libraries because I'm using P5 as I usually do as a sort of base JavaScript framework to use for various DOM manipulation tasks. And then also tabletop.js for getting the data. So now what I need to do is figure out how can I get the data from that spreadsheet. So let's look here. And oops, let me go back to tabletop.js, and I'm going to look at the README. So this is how easy. All I need to do is call this tabletop.init function, and I need to give it a key and a callback function. And simple sheet being true means I'm going to work with a sheet that just only has one tab. So this is going to make things really, really easy. So all I need basically is to take this code. I'm going to copy paste this code. And I'm going to go to my code, and I'm going to put it in setup. And let's just see what happens when I do this. So now I'm going to come back here, hit refresh. Now tabletop is not defined. So I saved that JavaScript library, but I forgot to add it to my index.html. So I need to also have a reference to it in index.html. Let's try again. And we can see this data came in. Now this data came in from some demo spreadsheet available from that Tabletop makes available to use with an example. I need to get the key to my spreadsheet. So if I go over to my spreadsheet here, where's the key? Well, it's just this crazy long thing. Now this actually isn't going to work because I missed a crucial step, but I'm going to copy paste this long key here, and I'm going to come back here, and where am I in my code? I'm going to add this here, right? So that's the key. So if I add this here, I should see everything in the spreadsheet here just in that data object. So I'm going to come back and hit refresh, but I'm going to get an error. It says access control allow origin header is present on the requested resource. It is not allowed access. The reason why it's not allowed access is in order for this spreadsheet to be available to this program in this very simple way without authenticating in any way whatsoever, I need to publish it to the web. So there's an option in Google Sheet, which is here, where I can go under File and look here, Publish to the web. So again, I wouldn't do this with like, hey, everybody send me your social security numbers or username and passwords. I wouldn't use a Google Sheet for that. But with a sort of quick crowdsourced form, you can do that. So I'm going to do publish to the web. And it should say entire document web page. I think that's all I need. And I'm going to say publish. And sure you want to publish? Yes, OK. And now it's published. And I should be able to go back and refresh my program. Look at this. This is beautiful. This is live. This is live. As people, every time I refresh, as people enter submissions, I've got more and more. And you can look at this. I've got an array of objects, adjective, adverb, exclamation, noun, plural noun, and the timestamp. So there's not a lot of metadata here other than the timestamp, but a Google form, you can ask people for lots of things. You can say, hey, make a Google form for people to type out their dreams. So you wake up in the middle of the night, enter their dreams, and you've got this vast spreadsheet. You need to have an audience and figure out a way to people. But this is a quick way to get data. I'm excited about this. I hope you are too. So this is really easy now. So now in my program, what I want to do is I want to clean this up a little bit. So one thing I want to do is I want to pull this function out because this is really where all my work is going to happen. and I want to make this a separate function, which is generate madlib. Actually, you know what I want to do actually is I want to just say got data. I'm just going to call this got data. And what I want to do is have a global variable. Quick solution is just have a global variable called all data. I could probably come up with a better name than that. And I'm going to say all data equals, and you know what, I'm just going to call it data. I'm going to call it sheet. Now let's call it data. Data equals, and I'll just call this stuff. So basically, what I want to do here is when I refresh this page, I now have a global variable called data that has all of the entries in it. So now let me here also create a button. Let me say create button, generate madlib, and I'm going to say var button equals create button, and I'm going to say button dot mouse pressed button.mousepressed generate. So I'm going to create a function that generates the madlib here. So I just want to make sure this is working. I'm going to say console.log generate. Whoops. And then I want to add something. I want to go and just into my page. I just want to take this and I want to put it into the page just so people can see it. So I'm going to make a paragraph at the top that has that. So we can see, oh, and I forgot to add to my JavaScript code, P5 by default creates a HTML5 canvas for drawing, but I don't need a canvas. So you can see this is my page now. It has all of the, it has the Mad Libs listed there, and it has a button now. So whenever I click generate, all I'm doing right now is console logging the word generate, but I now want to generate a version of the Mad Lib from all the stuff that people have sent. Okay, so now here we go. So let's do that. So first thing I need is this text. And there's a variety of ways I could do this. I'm going to do something. I'm going to say text equals. I'm going to make this a global variable. But what I'm going to do instead of these blanks is I'm going to create like a secret code for myself. Exclamation. They said adverb. I'm just going to put this into their noun and flew off with their adjective and plural noun. So I'm gonna do this as like a secret code to myself, because what I'm saying is whenever I say $$, the name of something, $, this is something I want to search for in that string and replace. So the first thing I just want to do is say create p that text. So let's just see if that appears. Okay, so that appears. Now what I need to do is I can use the replace function with regular expressions to replace those things with data that's coming from the database itself. So let me look at this again. The data is a big array, and each object has, now what I could do here, I wish I had made, do you think I could change this? I wish I didn't have that space there. That might cause me some issues. It might be fine, but I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet just to be sure about this. I'm going to change this heading to just plural noun. And then I'm going to go back to my code, run it again. When we look at data, we look at one of them. Great, plural noun. So what I actually want to do is I want to have these things match what's in here in the regular expression. I don't know if this is really going to be useful, but let me just match it exactly. Exclamation, adverb. I'm going to do noun, adjective, plural, noun. Okay? So I just wanted to adjust that and have the capitalization match, because what I want to do is I'm going to do the following. Sorry, thinking about this. I want to say var madlib equals text.replace. And I want to match any time there's $, dot star, question mark, $. So I want to match any place where I have $, dot star, and then I'm going to just have a function called replacer That way I can like kind of do this in its own function. Right? Remember, with the replace method in JavaScript, I can pass a callback. And I want to capture this middle thing as a group. So the arguments are the full match and then group 1, which is really the part of speech. So what I want to do is now say I have this. Okay, so let me just return test. Let me just make sure this is working. So this whole thing is working, and I want to create P with that Mad Lib. So what I did is I'm looking for any time I put this sort of secret code in the text, I want to match it and then replace it with the word test. So let's refresh this. That didn't seem to work. So let's look at text as that, and let me try my regular expression. Oh, you know what? These are meta characters. The $sign I forgot is end of line. So I need to escape that. I totally forgot. So these have to be escaped. So maybe I should have picked something else as my secret code, but those have to be escaped. So that should do it. Great. So you can see test as, oh, and what did I forget now? It only did the first one. So I need the global flag. So I need the /G for that's the global flag to do all of them. So test, they said test as they jumped into their test and flew off with their test. But now what I can do is I could replace it with the part of speech. Let's just see what that does. Exclamation, they said adverb as they jumped into their noun and flew off with their adjective plural noun. This is great because now I have the kind of thing it is which I can use to look up the particular thing in this array. So the first thing I might want to do is just pick a random element from that array. So let me pick a random element from that array. So I'm going to say entry equals random data. Now, is data just an array itself? It is. So the random function in P5 is just a function. If you give it an array, it'll give you a random thing from that array. Let me just show you here in the console. Random data. I got one, I got another one, I got another one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see, oh, somebody put that in. Someone's really trying to mess with me and put that in as an entry. I see you out there, who's ever doing that. Okay, so I pick a random one, and then what do I return? Data. Now, normally in JavaScript, this is a thing that you might not be aware of. Oh, I'm excited about this. And I'm going to be squished. Something's wrong with the aspect ratio of this camera. But if you have an object, entry, and I say noun, colon, why am I saying dog when I could say rainbow? Right? So this is my object. Normally you would say entry dot noun, and you would get rainbow. But guess what another way to say this is? Entry bracket, bracket. Now this looks like it suddenly is an array, and I would need to give it an index, but I don't have to. If I give it a string, like noun, this is actually looking up the property that is named with the text inside that string. So I can dynamically pull a particular thing based on what part of speech I matched by saying return entry bracket POS, right? Remember, I matched exclamation or adverb or noun, and in those objects, that's what those things are called, exclamation, adverb, or noun. So now if I do this and go back here, oh, Smurf, they said lively as they jumped into their Phoebus and flew off with their low forms. I'm a little bit afraid to just keep doing this because I'm hoping that people are using family-friendly, happy-go-lucky language, but let's be bold and try one more. Hooray, they said carefully as they jumped into their lamb and flew off with their tall bananas. So we've got some great options here, and you can see instantly this, every time I refresh the page, I'm going to get more and more possibilities, and there's so much I could do more with this, right? You know, this is a very simple Mad Lib. I could do some natural language processing, like I could make sure it's actually a plural noun, and if it's not, I could pluralize it, or I could check to see if it is a valid noun. There's so many things I could do in terms of how to, making this better in terms of a Mad Libs generator, but what I'm asking you to do, and in a way, if you're watching this video, is think about what might be a creative experiment that's your own weird word game possibility that you could do where you crowdsource data from people. So make a Google form, ask your friends to fill out that Google form, get a JavaScript program that reads from that Google form, and visualize what people have entered, mash it up, make a poem out of it, whatever. I'm sure you have more creative ideas and strange, weird internet things that you could try to make by doing this idea, but it's a really quick way of having an instant database with crowdsourced information. So hopefully you got something from seeing this little Mad Libs generator. If you make your own actual Mad Libs generator, please share it with me so I can take a look and be inspired by your own work, and I'll see you in a future coding challenge.